Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and talk a little bit. I know I told them to give me about 20 minutes. I'm going to try to make it pretty quick. So I want to cover some a wide variety of things for the Star Police Department, how we work with the Ada County Sheriff's Office, and what we're doing for the City of Star. So, real quick, just kind of want to talk a little bit about the back table. I like to understand, you guys must understand, police, we like the back row and anything. So, you never want to be in the front row like I am right now. So, we're all back there. But Justin Prather sitting at the end there, one of our patrol deputies. Ashley Turner is the person detective. Damien Rodriguez, who's a property crime detective. Casey Bryant, person crime detective. Jada Butterfield keeps us all in line.
She's amazing.
We've got Lonnie Hill, who's a patrol deputy.
Scary.
Sheriff Clifford's on the way. So he got stuck in another meeting. He texted me and said, take your time, because he's one of my bosses, and my other boss is here, so he can take his time. He's got to listen to me. So real quick, speaking of bosses, so I want to bring this up because we, back in April, there was some questions of why we're getting so involved. Tobin Bolter was a deputy for us that ended up losing his life in the line of duty. Some community members were asking why Star Police Department was so involved in that. They didn't understand that we are Ada County Sheriff's Office. So how that kind of works is Ada County, so Ada County Sheriff, Matt Clifford, and the Sheriff's Office has 3 contract cities within Ada County, and that's CUNA, Eagle, and Star, where they contract their police services out to those cities. And so the city pays a contract amount, and then we have dedicated officers that serve just the City of Star. So how that looks for me is I'm a lieutenant at the Ada County Sheriff's Office. That's why Sheriff Clifford is my boss. But I'm assigned to the Chief of Police for Star, and that's why the mayor is also my boss. So I have 2 bosses to try to keep happy. Luckily, they get along really well, and they're really easy to work for. Matter of fact, there's Sheriff Matt Clifford right there. So we have 18 commissioned deputies that work in the Star Police Department. And then we have 1 professional staff, that was Jada Butterfield that you saw earlier there. That's sitting in the back there. And how they're arranged, so there's 10 patrol deputies that work in the City of Star. Now that doesn't mean we have 10 on all at one time. A lot of people sometimes get confused because they think we have 10 working the whole time. That's not true. We usually have 2, sometimes 1, and sometimes 3 throughout the day to serve the City of Star. The shifts kind of look like there's a day shift, a late day, a swing, and a graveyard. You all work 10.75-hour shifts, and you have a blue side and a silver side of the week. So the schedule is kind of it's 5 on, 5 off, 5 on, 4 off. It's kind of how that schedule works. And so when one team's on, the other team's off, and then they swap back and forth. There is one, and that's what's wonderful about the Ada County Sheriff's Office, is they've once a month, there's a 9.5-hour day that's put in our schedule, so it's not overtime or extra pay, but a 9.5-hour day that we go to a block training where they train us, keep us updated on our certificates, through post. It also gives us training on how we can better do interviews, we go out to the range quite often, those type of things. So we have very well educated and trained deputies that work for the Star Police Department, so we're very grateful for that. So, like I said, 10 patrol deputies. We have a sergeant on each side of the week, so 2 sergeants, 2 patrol sergeants, which is John Steele. He can't be here because sadly enough he's in Hawaii, which would be a rough place to be. And Travis DeBee actually just went on his days off, so he was working yesterday and now he's on his 4 days off. He's not here either. We have 3 detectives. You met all 3 of them. We have 2 person crime detectives and then 1 property crime. So any felony that happens in the City of Star is usually taken on by one of them, unless it's we work with the Sheriff's Office on on-call. So these poor people back in the back row aren't always on call. We kind of do on-call rotation, and but usually any felony that occurs in Star, if it has to do with property, will be going to Damien Rodriguez. And if it has to do with persons, they'll go to either Casey Bryant or Ashley Turner, depending on what it is. Ashley kind of has an emphasis and a skill set that has to do with child type crimes. She takes a lot of child helpline referrals, child sex crimes, those types of things that she's investigating. And then Casey Bryant does a lot of the felony aggravated battery. Hopefully we don't have any homicides, those type of things. So I appreciate them. And the only I think I'm missing is the POT team. So we have 2 deputies who are on the problem-oriented police team. Now this team was a newly formed team that we just did this last fiscal year, working with the mayor and the city council, and it has been wonderful. This is the first time that Star Police Department's had just a proactive police team. That their main goal is to be proactive in stopping any type of problems we have in the city of Star. Now, I know we don't have any traffic problems, but 70% of their problem, 70% of their job is traffic. So they're doing a lot of traffic enforcement. They're in the blue Ford Explorers out there. I don't know if you've seen them around. One guy said that I was talking to him at the pond last night. He said, you know, I've gotten several tickets and never been able to talk myself out of a ticket, but every one of your Star deputies has always been really kind and nice and professional. So I was glad to hear that. But they do write some citations out there. They're also pulling a lot of drugs off the street. I'll talk about that in a little bit, about different crimes that are occurring in Star. But they do a fantastic job there. If we have a problem house, say it's a potential drug house or an issue, we kind of get them focused on that and see how we solve that solution. And then also, as I just mentioned, the Star Pond, the Freedom Park. That has been, we didn't have any idea how much of a problem that was going to be when that opened up. But it has been causing a lot of juvenile type issues and different issues down at the pond, where my team has done a fantastic job in helping with that. And we're still working with the city and the mayor on figuring out exactly what we can do to kind of keep it calm down there, so Star families are wanting to go down there and hang out in the park and swim. And it is I just was down there with my kids last night. It's a fantastic place to swim, and they have that 10-foot jump you can jump off of. We want to keep it that way, so we're trying to come up with ideas of how to keep the kind of riff-raff out of there. So, anyways, that's the problem with the police team. So that's the 18, including myself. I count myself as a commissioned deputy, even though I'm not really out in the street. I'm usually behind a desk or doing this. So, but that's the 18 that we have. The unique thing about having a contract is we have, so the Ada County Sheriff's Office is the largest law enforcement agency in Idaho, and we can pull their resources over if we need help. Every once in a while, we have something that occurs in the city of Star that not just we can take care of, so we ask for the Sheriff's Office to step in and help us out, and they're always happy and willing, and they also help supervise and do things for us there. So the other unique thing too is the budget. So as a taxpayer, I live in Star too. As a taxpayer, I'm always wondering about where those taxes are going. Just to give you an idea of how much that contract saves, and I always kind of talk about Garden City Police Department. So Garden City has about 12,900 people that live in the city. Their police budget is about $5.9 million. City of Star has about 20,360 according to the last Compass numbers, so we're about 7,500 more people in the City of Star. Our police budget is $2.89 million.
Wow.
So the contract, if you're looking at it, it saves quite a bit of money. There's $3 million difference between what my budget is and what Garden City Police Department budget is. So it's a huge help. We are trying to stay up to that 1 officer per 1,000. The national average is 2.7 officers per 1,000. For the northwest of the United States, it's 1.9. But I feel very comfortable at the 1 to 1,000 because we have the Ada County Sheriff's Office that we can pull resources from and be there, and we have wonderful people that live in our community. That seems to be a sufficient number for us to keep up with. The mayor and city council have done a fantastic job of making sure we stay up with that. And I'll talk about kind of what we're looking at for new positions in the future here. But that's kind of the idea behind the contract. I want to get real quick, and I do want to leave time for questions as well at the end of this, so I'm going to try to hurry through it. But crimes and calls for service that we go to. So one thing that we are very focused on is making sure that we are a proactive police department. We want to be as proactive as possible, but we want to be as professional as possible as well. So that means a lot of just chatting. Hopefully you've met a few of our officers, and they're very friendly, nice. They'll come up and talk to you. We want them out in the community talking to people, making relationships. Whenever somebody comes in my office or a new deputy comes in my office, the number one thing I tell them that they can do, that's the most important thing, is build relationships with the community. It's the number one thing law enforcement can do. So if we can't build those relationships, then it makes our jobs harder and the trust there kind of erodes. So, but just give you an idea of the month of June. So every month I get in front of city council and I present to the city what Star Police Department has done the prior month. So I give out a report. You can always go back, look at those. It's on the city website. And I won't go through in detail of all of it like I do with city council, at city council, but real quick. So just for the month of June, we had 1,969 calls per service. So our small police department went to that many calls, and 337 of those calls were when somebody picked up a phone and asked a deputy to come. So either whether that's an emergency call we're running lights and siren to, or it's a call that, hey, I had somebody potentially do a fraud, can you come by and we can chat about it, right? So 337, that means that 1,632 calls were self-initiated calls, what I call proactive calls. That's traffic stops, that's stopping at the Spring Star Skate Park, talking to the kids, that's going to the schools, talking to the kids at school. Obviously in June we didn't do that because the schools are out. But that's us getting out, talking to people in the middle of the night that may be walking around, seeing what they're up to, those type of things. So we're very proactive in making sure we see who's in the town, what's going on, and talking to the community and trying to build those relationships. So one of the interesting things that have come up is we as a city have a goal. We have 3 different goals that has to do specifically with Star Police Department. But one of those goals is try to keep the crime rate as low as possible. And the goal is to keep crimes under 18 crimes per 1,000 people. Well, we've always been able to do that until I was looking at it this last year. It went to 19.4, 19.5. And I was looking at it trying to see, well, what happened? Where can we fix this? Well, what I found out is our society, so there's 3 different groups of crimes that we look at and that we pay attention to. There's the person crimes. You just met 2 of our detectives that follow up on those. The property crimes and society crimes. Person crimes are usually your more violent crimes, right? And that's what a city focuses on, how violent a city is. Society crimes, the majority of those are drug charges, or drug crimes. Well, what we're finding, if you look at last year's number, our society crimes went from 67 society crimes in 2022 to 132 society crimes in 2023. What's occurring is because we're making more traffic stops, because we're getting out there and being proactive, we're pulling more drugs off the street. So those society crimes, the more proactive we are, the more drug charges we're going to find out there. But what's interesting is our person crime, which again are the more violent crimes. Our person crimes went from 110 in 2022 down to 86 in 2023. So we dropped 28% in our violent crimes. As I look at that, I think, well, that's, I mean, society crimes will, depending on how proactive and what's going on, those will probably always go up, but the person crimes are going down, which that's what I really like to see, and I'm glad to see that.
Yeah.
But society crimes, real quick, let me talk about that. One thing I noticed in June, we had 8 total crimes, drug crimes that occurred, that charges that we did as a city of Star. And all of those had to do with marijuana. There was, for the first time, and again, I have to look back pretty far, but the first time I remember that we didn't have any methamphetamine coming through, fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, any of those things. It's marijuana charges. Now marijuana is still, I want to say marijuana is still a big deal because I don't want marijuana at all, right? But we're not looking at those higher drugs that cause a lot more issues like the methamphetamine and the fentanyl, those things. So I think it's really good that the word's getting out, and I've heard different people say it, but don't drive through Star if you have drugs because they will stop you and you'll go to jail. So I want to continue that happening. So that POP team and our patrol team is doing a phenomenal job of making sure they're proactive in making those traffic stops and keeping those out of our city. So those are kind of the calls for service real quick that we've been to. New for 24. So every October 1 is our new fiscal year that we end up getting our budget. Getting our budget. So our fiscal year for this last year, we added for this year, so for 2024, we added a contract with the Humane Society, which was huge because that's animal control, because we were our own animal control. That took a lot off our plate because how busy we were dealing with dog calls, and we have, those still are important, but we have other calls we need to go to. We added the POP team, which I just talked about. We added a second deputy to our graveyard team. So this is the first time. We still go to calls every once in a while alone. As a deputy, that's scary to go to calls alone, and if your backup's far away. But with the adding more patrol deputies, we're able to add to that graveyard team. So now it's less going to calls alone, and if they do go to calls alone, it's usually closer backup. So we want to continue working that way. And then we did add Casey Bryant's position, which was the second person crimes detective in Star. So that was last year's budget. This year's budget, what we're looking at real quick is looking at asking for an administrative sergeant, which will help out with supervising our detectives, supervising the POP team, and looking at different grants for the City Star. We do have one grant that we do right now that Jada really helps me out with on doing all that, but that's what the admin sergeant will do, and then the special events that we do throughout the year. The K-9 deputy. Now, I go in the K-9 world quite a bit with you. I could take another 10, 15 minutes explaining how that works. But having a K-9 in Star will be huge on getting these drugs off too. Because those K-9s, we can't wait for a K-9, we can't wait 30, 40 minutes anymore for the K-9 to come to a traffic stop. So if we have one in Star, it's a huge help. And then we're also looking at a summer juvenile detective, paying a 0.25% of the detective position to keep a detective in the City of Star during the summer to help with juvenile type crimes and the pond issues that we're having. So anyways, that's what we're looking at for this next fiscal year. But I'm going to answer that. 5 minutes. So I want to open it up to any questions. I know there were some questions about the pond and different things, but
so how does having a city police department staffed by Ada County Sheriff's Office work for a 2-county city?
So good question. So we are a 2-county city, right? So we have the majority of our cities in Ada County. The other portion of it, and it's growing bigger. They just talked about Boise 100 homes in the River Park Estate. So I was just there yesterday. Had great brisket, by the way.
Yes, they did.
But they're in Canyon County. So what happens is our deputies have been trained to, when they make an arrest, depending if they're in Canyon County or Ada County, they have to go to that jail, that jurisdiction. So that means an Ada County deputy who's been trained by Ada County, lived, worked in Ada County his career, if they're in the Canyon side of Star, when they make that arrest, they have to take that person to Canyon County jail, and then they work with the prosecutor's office in Canyon County for all the charges. So what's been nice is Sheriff Clifford, and then we've been able to have our own, if you ever go to Star PD, we can give you a tour of it. We have our own evidence vault there, and we're the first city, contract city, to be able to do long-term storage per policy. Because the problem was, if you arrest somebody for drug charges in Canyon County, you'd have to usually take the drugs to Ada County, and then you have to go to court in Canyon, so you're driving back and forth. Well, now they can keep it here, and it's closer by. But yeah, so we still have to work with the Canyon County Sheriff's Office and the County Juvenile or Prosecutor's Office for those type of charges. So it's definitely different. Eagle's going to have the same issues. They're going to be in 3 different counties. I'm glad I don't have that problem. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Did I answer that? Okay.
Zach, how are you feeling about your response team, your response time for your team? I know that's a big criteria sometimes.
Yes. That's one of the 3 goals we have, is always to be able to respond under 4 minutes to a code 3 call. So just to give an idea, we know that seconds matter when people are calling for police services. When they have a problem going on, whether it's a domestic problem that they feel like they're going to be attacked, killed, whatever it might be, we need to get there fast. And just to give you an idea, in the month of June, our average response time in the City of Star was 2 minutes and 24 seconds. And what's going to help too is, I know that this is the new fire. We work really well with Star Fire. Chief Macy's fantastic.
Yes.
But they're going to give us some room in those, and any fire station, they're going to give us a room that we can write reports out of. So we're a little closer by, and we spread out a little more rather than just being the main hub here. So.
What's the national average on response time, you know?
Ooh, I don't know if I know that
Roughly?
one. Sheriff, you know what that one is?
I don't know what that is, but it's gonna be, I don't know, all over the place probably.
What's for Ada County as a whole, because Ada County takes up a lot more space, they're more rural. Isn't it?
So ours is over 4.
Yeah.
Because of the geography of Ada County and, you know, people moving farther and farther out, they have to go farther. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's more traffic. Just heads up.
I'm guessing it's quite a bit more than what we're at.
Yeah.
Okay, so, can you please expound on what our reaction is and what our proactive actions are over at the ponds?
Yes. So right now for the summer, when this pond came online, we opened it up, put all the cool stuff out there. It kind of became quite the attraction.
Yeah.
And I know that it was on social media, blew up on social media. People wanted to come here. We've been pulling people from, Canyon County. I'm from Nampa, Caldwell, Boise. So because it became a problem so quick, we actually started doing overtime all through the weekend. We have a deputy there from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon to about 8 o'clock in the evening to try to be there so we have at least officer presence. I know the city of Star, the mayor, they're working on it. They did put up, I just saw last night, I actually read they put up all the rules and rules of the park.
Yeah.
If people are violating those rules, we've been an authority to trespass them from there. And we have a trespass list, that we're trespassing people away from there. And so we're doing it, and I know each shift that we have, at a minimum, and we're getting busier, but a minimum of 2 times in each shift they're walking through that park and checking that park out. I do know that what's in the works for next year is the juvenile detective that we're gonna have out here. That's one of his main responsibilities, is that pond.
And that starts October, right?
October 1, yes.
Thank you.
Yep. And I'm guessing that the pond will slow down a little bit once school gets in, which that's next week, well, 2 weeks. But for next year, we're already planning to make sure we have somebody there. The city just bought a golf cart for us.
Oh,
So we can
nice.
have a golf cart go down there. So they'll have a deputy in a golf cart right around down there checking things out.
Get some nice clubs in that thing?
What's that?
Get some nice clubs in that car?
Yeah. So we're excited to have that, but we're gonna put more of those rules around. I know there's been talk of potentially having a city staff member down there more often to enforce the rules too, and they call us if there's a problem. But
Well, we know a lot of the problem happens after 8 o'clock at night.
What's that?
A lot of the problem happens after 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and I know that the neighbors around there usually call me. They send me videos, and we try to send deputies down there as quick as possible. What's been interesting is the majority of people we're having problems with are not Star residents.
We know, yeah.
So it's been interesting on that way, but we're still trying to figure out exactly how to deal with the problems past 8 o'clock. All the patrol deputies are well aware that to try to keep an eye down there. If we're not on our calls, they'll go down there and check things out.
Nice, thank you.
So, but yeah.
Have you seen a drop in fentanyl trafficking after the fentanyl bill was signed in the fall this year? Mandatory minimums.
We've seen a drop in Star for sure. We had a couple of fentanyl where people overdosed. We had to Narcan them back. But I don't know. Have you seen Sheriff?
Yeah, so we're probably gonna take a little more time for that last one to go back. So we have to look for a statistic maybe for next year, find a pattern to see if it actually works. So in a couple of, it's only been in law, I think, for a month, so too early to tell.
Word was out on the street yet or not?
Yeah, it'll get out there for sure. Yeah, cartels honestly keep track of that kind of thing, what laws are there. So we slowly will curve, they'll want to skirt around Idaho, that kind of thing. But, we'll see what happens. We need to give it at least a year.
Great, thank you.
All right, I'm getting the signal. Can I take one more or no? We're done?
One more.
One more.
Me?
Yep.
Sorry, I don't have my glasses on.
That's
I
all
can't
right.
see. Well, I've been following the park story, kind of going back to this park. And in my thinking, this whole valley has had some fantastic parks, all the way from East Boise all the way over to Nampa. And I don't recall any of these kind of problems since like the 60s and the early 70s when you had all the kids down at Ann Morrison and Julia Davis. doing the partying and stuff. So I'm wondering, what was different about Freedom Park that attracted so much of that kind of attention? Do you have any idea, or?
The only thing I'm kind of guessing here. So the only thing I can think of is it's a brand new park that has an awesome swimming area. And when you get up to the 90s and 100 degrees, people are looking for a free spot to swim and take their kids to. And so when you look at Napa's got Lake Lowell, right? But after a while, Lake Lowell gets really mossy and not fun to swim in.
Right.
So I'm thinking that's a big reason is this pond is beautiful to swim in. It's got nice water. It's got the big dockzilla that people call it. So I'm guessing that a lot of it had to do with it was free and it was a good area to take your kids to swim at. And so that's what brought a lot of the attention to. And I know other parks have it. I mean, CUNA has some issues with parks over there every once in a while. They haven't had a new park kind of like this one in a while. But so I mean, it's a new attraction. I'm hoping that maybe it'll kind of die off a little bit after people have been here. But they're still doing improvements over there with grass, and they're going to put in the frisbee golf, all that type of stuff. So we'll see what happens. We just need to make sure we prepare for it next year on keeping it a family-friendly place. So,
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your hard work.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, so the Star Chamber of Commerce wanted to honor our dedicated police officers, sheriff, all of them, to making the city of Star a safe place for people to live, work, and play. They maintain, as Chief Hessing said, a low crime rate and work effectively with the community, businesses, and fellow law enforcement agencies. Again, as Chief Hessing mentioned, they strive to have the best relationships with community members, and we as the Star Chamber of Commerce truly appreciate your guys' efforts wholeheartedly. So thank you, and we wanted to just kind of honor you with an award, just a certificate of appreciation to the Star Police Department. And we also didn't just want to give them a plaque on the wall. Let's see, Proof, who also did our lunch, Proof, the Star Chamber of Commerce, and Sea Salt Creamery, we all got together, and there are 20 for each individual officer commissioned, not all of them, 20. You have gift cards to Proof and Sea Salt Creamery for you to go out to dinner and get dessert from your city. I don't know if you guys want to come up or if you want to take a picture. I don't understand. Yes? Okay.
Good together. Come on, guys. Come in.
Right.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Love all your leaves.